This conference will now be recorded.
So this is our part 1 online course. We have already been running part 2 and part 3 courses for last 2-3 years. So that's already going on. Part 1 started this year only. Already had a batch and now this is the second batch. What my basic agenda for the orientation is to give you how the MRCOG career prospects are, what is the overview of the MRCOG, how exam actually is, what are various facts and myths related to the MRCOG, and focus on part 1 syllabus and how exam is, books recommended, books we recommend, concept of smart study, choosing the right mentor, why choose us, and then we will proceed with our anatomy session. Okay, the MRCOG has, with MRCOG, you have a route to both the ways. If you want to go to UK, it's a direct way to go there. But even if you want to go to other countries, our postgraduate qualification is actually not recognized anywhere outside India. Previously, it was recognized in the Dubai and all, but now it is not so. You have to appear for the licensing exam. So now when you have a qualification like MRCOG, it's a gold standard qualification for the gynae and ops, and it is recognized all over the world. Yes, US and Canada still have their own licensing exams, but at least the Europe, this Dubai and all these Middle East countries and Australia, and they all recognize this degree. But remember, only getting the MRCOG does not make you consultant in these countries. You need a practical experience of the UK, at least 2 to 3 years. Then that is known as your completion of training. Once you have that experience, then you can apply for the consultant jobs all over. Otherwise, it's a qualification which can give you the job there, but then you need to fulfill all the required criteria that is additionally required. You have to get your CCT done. So that can be done only in the UK. And if you are applying for some other area, then in Australia or New Zealand, they will assess you accordingly and then give you the consultant job. How the exam goes is MRCOG exam format is part 1, part 2 and part 3. Part 1 is a written exam for July and January. Part 2 is again a written exam which is scheduled in July and January. Part 3 is a oral station examination which is scheduled for the May and November. So part 1 is mostly the single best answers. You get 100 single best answers in your first part and 100 single best answers in your second part. And that you have to pass the exam. Pass rate varies every year. But usually the passing percentage is around 65%, but that depends on the cohort of the students who are appearing, how they are scoring. So remember, there is no fixed pass percentage. It is decided according to the student's performance. So if the paper is tough, like most of the students are not able to perform well, the passing marks, the cutoff marks goes down. Maybe you can pass at 60%, but if the paper is easy, most of the students are able to do that, then it may go higher. Sometimes it may have, or it has gone up to 70% also. Usually it revolves between 60 to 70. Second thing is that, remember, when you are doing the exam, the part 1 exam, like you have 100 single best answers. But every question does not carry equal marks. Okay, so question of the marks of the question. If the question is difficult, you are able to attempt it, but most students are not able to attempt it, then you may get more marks in that single question. But if you are attempting only the normal questions, the easy ones, then you may be attempted more questions, but you are getting less marks, because distribution of the marks is according to the score of the marks, the difficulty level of the marks. Part 2 exam is a bit more difficult because a specific type of questions are being introduced in this part 2, that is extended matching questions, in which you have around 20 options and 3 related scenarios. Okay, like a patient came into the labor, she was initially one finger and all that PV given, then she progressed to full dilatation, then something happened postpartum. So this type of a linked scenario are given. Mostly three scenarios are there with 20 options for those, which are very, very close to each other. So you need to have a thorough knowledge, and you have to get a clear cut answer in your mind. Then only you can choose one option from those 20 options. Okay, like in single based answers, usually we have 5 options. So sometimes even if we are confused by the elimination method, like this doesn't seem to be true, this doesn't seem to be true, we finally come to the answer, and sometimes we are able to guess the answers. But in EMQ, there is a least probability that you will be able to guess the answer. You need to know the answer. So that is why part 2 exam is the most typical exam, and I would say it is a rate limiting step of the MRCOG. It is not that it is not doable. If you are doing a thorough study, doing a targeted study, focused study, yes, you will be able to do. I did it in one attempt only, all parts in one attempt. And also there are other students who do it in one attempt. So that it is not that it's not possible, but you have to be focused. You have to be observant to see how you are answering the question. But part 2 is not an exam you can pass only by the guesswork. Part 3 is oral structured exam. So there are stations and that's totally a practical exam. Then what are the myths and facts related to MRCOG? It is necessary to go to London for experience? No, no need. You can do it from your home country if you have your exam center there. You just need to get a proper idea, proper knowledge, which is easily available now because multiple courses are there. So you can take a guidance, and no need to go and get the experience. But definitely if you want to use this degree for outside countries, then you will require to take the experience. But then that you can do anytime after completing your MRCOG also. Then it is very tough, takes a lot of attempts to pass? No. No, it depends on you. If you go with a full study, you are prepared, you are focused, you have decided that you have to do it, then you can do it. But if you think like that this time I'll go and see what is the paper like and then I'll come and prepare, it's too much, then no. You have to be very focused, targeted, and study thoroughly, because this is not an exam of guesswork. You have to study. If you study properly, you will be able to do the exam in one go. There is no if and but about it. You need to understand the pattern and focus your efforts accordingly. Be strategic. You have to strategize and then go with full energy. You cannot work with exam preparation, no, because it is not something you are going to cram up. It's something which is part 1 still has some parts to be crammed, like anatomy. Anatomy you have to learn what thing lies medially, what thing lies laterally. Yes, you have to cram. But when you come to the clinical, like clinical management, data interpretation, that is what you are doing in your life daily. In your consulting chamber, you are seeing the reports, giving the diagnosis and all those. So it's something in what you are doing practically. So if you start following those guidelines practically in your work, you don't have to cram them up. It becomes your practice. So it is not something which we have to learn. It is something which comes with the practice. So once you take it into the practice, you are doing it consistently. You don't have to spare a separate time for it. If you have to study daily, like 2 hours, 3 hours or 4 hours, like 2 to 3 hours is sufficient for part 1. But for part 2, it would be, I think, more than 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours daily. So if you do that consistently is important, because 6 months before the exam, you read whole guidelines, spent 1 month completely to look into the guidelines, and then you stopped reading for next 2 months. Then you again open the guidelines, 50-60% will be washed off. So you have to be targeted, you have to be consistent in your study. How the syllabus of part 1 is, paper 1 and paper 2 is there, and like this the subjects have been divided into the part 1 and part 2. Part 1 has anatomy, biochemistry, embryology, endocrinology, epidemiology and statistics, genetics and physiology. And paper 2 has biophysics, clinical management, data interpretation, immunology, microbiology, pathology and the pharmacology. So all the subjects have some weightage in the exam. So don't ever think of leaving any subject. Okay, you have to be thorough with all the subjects. Why? Because always out of the 100 questions, around 10 questions